Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Perspective. The Jalsa is drawing nearer as far as the Lahore Jalsa is concerned. We saw the press conference that Maryam Nawaz and Bilawal Bhutto Zardari had. There seemed to be a collective opinion now that the government has made overtures towards them. They maintain that that has happened, but they are being rebuffed. They also say that now the government is on the back foot. How much of that is true? How much of that is the reality as far as the political movement in the upcoming days is concerned? We'll be talking about that. We'll also be talking about the plan of the PDM at this time, which is still largely unclear. There is, of course, talk about resignations. There is talk about the long march also, but what kind of timeline will follow the Jalsa is still unclear. All of that today on Perspective. I have with me Sadiqul Farooq, who's leader PMLN. Thank you for being with us today. We are also joined by Barrister Umar Malik, who's a legal expert, and Asim Shaukat Ali, spokesperson, Punjab government. Thank you for joining us today. Sadiqul Farooq Sahab, let's start off with you. As far as the press conference today is concerned, there seems to be now Maryam Nawaz and Bilawal Bhutto are both now saying that the government has contacted them, they have tried to get in touch with them. How much of that is reality, and the fact that that those attempts are now being rebuffed because it's too late according to them? Too late for what exactly? And as far as the Jalsa is concerned, after the Jalsa, let's talk about what the ultimate expectation of the PDM is.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you, Maru. PDM is very clear about its objectives.
Okay.
We have been extending cooperation to the present government at initial stage, and now 2.5 years have passed. They have never responded positively to our objective offers. Now, after passage of 2.5 years, and that too when pressure has been mounted to a great extent, even Prime Minister offers dialogue. And they have contacted different federal ministers, etc., from PTI. They have contacted PTI and PMLN and PPP. But we feel that it has been proved beyond any doubt that this government doesn't have the potential to deliver and put the country back on the rails leading to development. Similarly, governance has failed. So giving them more time will be disastrous for the state of Pakistan and for the people of Pakistan also. So therefore, we want to oust this government. We are mounting pressure which is increasing day by day. And we will not budge an inch from our main objectives, that is continuation of constitution, everything for running the state elections.
So what do you expect? Do you want resignations that's the ultimate goal of the PDM?
Within constitution, any step which leads to ouster of this government, whether it is resignation by the Prime Minister, whether it is a no confidence move, etc.
Right, okay. Before I go to Asim Shaukat, Barrister Sahab, in your opinion, what's the legal way of doing this? What the PDM is asking for. Is there a scenario where, what is the possibility if you stay within, of course the politicians are saying that within the constitution, but what is, if they want, do they want the Prime Minister to resign? Do they want, new elections? Do they want the whole government to go? What's your take on this?
Well, I think constitutionally, if we see, I think it's better that this government, whether whatever the reservations of the other parties are, I think they should complete 5 years term. So, but the problem here is that some of the issues which have not been addressed by the institutions should be addressed. Now, even the government is saying about the national dialogue, and we have also been saying this, and all the parties now are saying that there should be a national dialogue between all the institutions, not only between the political parties, all the institutions, including the judiciary judiciary and all other institutions, and to see where we are heading, where we have to take this country to. This is not going to end, even if we are going for elections like after a year, or even after even if this government resigns. Again, if somebody gets elected, again somebody would be on the roads. Some political party would be saying these things again, that we do not admit these elections and these results. So I think for national dialogue is the first thing before going for any election or before going forward to any other thing. So national dialogue comes first, and intra-institutional dialogues, like what I've been saying before, between all the institutions, including the judiciary, because we have seen in recent past that all the institutions, they are not working in their own spheres. They are interfering into the other institutions' work, be it the parliament, be it the executive, be it the opposition, be it the other institutions, including the judiciary. We have seen that they have been political, they have been interfering into the things, they have been creating dam funds and building dams rather than deciding their cases.
Right.
This is what has recently happened.
Okay, I will come back to you on the issue of institutional dialogue. I'm going to go to Asim Shaukat Ali, who's spokesperson Punjab government. Asim Saab, it's a fair point, because we've seen earlier on also with your party, as far as the PTI is concerned, is the premier party that has, it wouldn't be wrong to say, set the standards of protesting on the roads. And this is now, this is the second time that political parties have combined in this way to mount pressure on the government, in the recent past. Don't you think that the tradition that has been set by the PTI is being followed?
Thank you very much, Maro. First of all, I would like to say that to criticize the government, to come out on the streets to register their protest is a democratic tradition. There is nothing wrong with it. If some political party thinks that they should come out on the roads, they should register their protest, this is their political as well as democratic right, and the sitting government should accept it, and yes, we accept it. The problem is not about their jalsas and rallies and protests. The problem is that right now, as Prime Minister has just said, that we are facing a calamity, that is second wave of corona. We are just saying, kindly postpone these rallies and jalsas for 2-3 months at the most. Then go for whatever you want. We are here to answer you politically. Whatever you want to do, please go for it. You want to criticize the government, you want to criticize the Prime Minister, you want to criticize our governance, you want to play with the sentiments of the people on inflation. This is your right. Please go for it. We are least bothered. There is hardly any pressure on the government. But when we say, then please kindly postpone your julus and jalsas and rallies, it means that we are concerned about the humanity. We are concerned about the spread of corona. We are concerned about the people's health. We know that our health facility will be burdened by the people.
Why is the Punjab government arresting people who are actual vendors and people like DJ Butt, Butt Kadai, all of this, arresting these people? If you are, really not bothered about the jalsas, you're not bothered about the protests, why are you arresting them?
Yes, Marco, number one, I again stand by my words. We are not bothered about the jalsas and the protests, but you should know that there is an order from the higher court, from the superior court, that there is a restriction on the gatherings of more than 300 people. So we are the government and we have to obey the orders of the court. We have to go by the order of the court. And if they go for the jalsa, then it will be an illegal gathering. And yes, if they violate the law, then automatically law will take its course. So this is the case.
Again, I would say that you have nothing. I mean, at this time, you have allowed them to do the jalsa. Isn't that the stance of the government?
No, we will not make, Maruf, we will not make hindrances in their jalsa. If they want to do it, they will do it. but it will
What
be
does
an
that
illegal
mean?
act.
I've been asking this question from people from your party since yesterday. What does that mean exactly? When you say that we will not, is that tacit approval? Is that, what are you saying? You're saying we're not going to, we're not allowing it, but we're not going to stop it. So that really just
No,
means
Ma'am,
that you
let me
are
explain
effectively
it. Yes.
allowing the Jalsa to go
Okay.
forward. And if you are allowing the Jalsa to go forward, then what about all those arresting people who are only providing service? So there's a lot
No,
of
we will-
confusion there.
No confusion at all. We have told them, everybody has told them that this is going to be an illegal act, but despite all these clear instructions of the court and the orders of the court, if they go for the Jalsa and they go for their democratic right, we will not hinder them, but it will be an illegal act. For example, let me explain it in a way. What they are trying to do actually, they are trying to play with the media. In case if we stop them by force, they will be very happy. What will they do? They will come on media and they will start shouting that government is afraid, government is trying to stop us, government, we have put a lot of pressure on the government and they are trembling. So we don't want to give this sort of impression to anybody. Neither we are afraid
Okay.
nor
Asif
we
sahab,
are bothered.
before I
We
go on to
simply have
Siddiqui
told them
Farooq sahab.
that they are going for an illegal act, simply.
Right, okay. My
law will take
another
its course.
scenario. Let me just ask you another scenario. Let me put another scenario to you. What if there is anybody else, a normal, a group of citizens who are actually, and other citizens who are indulging in some unlawful activity? Can the government choose to say, well, we're not stopping you, but what you're doing is illegal, and we're not going to do anything to hinder you? It doesn't make sense, right?
Like, we will not arrest the masses and we will not stop them. We will not bar the roads. We will not block the roads. We will simply have alarmed them that if they go for the illegal act, law will take its course. It's very
You
simple.
will arrest people who like
But we will
DJ
not let them
Bhatt
play with
and
the media.
what? Sorry?
We will not let them play with the media, and we will not let them come on the media and say that government is afraid of them. That's why we are trying to
Okay.
stop them forcibly. No.
Okay, I will come back to you. Ji Siddiqui Farooq sir.
My younger brother, if I say he is also confused like his leader, he may mind it. But his a statement in itself is confused, and when he tries to elaborate it and justify, he is further confounding confusion. We will not let them hold public meeting or jalsa. We allow them. It is their constitutional right, democratic right.
But they're saying because they don't want your party, the PPP, the PDM, to come out and say, to become martyrs, so to speak, on the media. That's
Media.
why they're not doing that.
So they want to stop us from coming on the shows
No, they.
or addressing press conferences.
Okay.
Media means that we hold a press conference and media covers it. We participate on different shows. We issue statements. So does Constitution allow or does it not allow? If it is allowed and if it is our constitutional right, then why do they say, and the spokesman says that we will not
Because of
allow.
COVID, they're saying. Because of COVID. There is, according to them, there is really no issue here apart from
Look,
COVID
Maruf.
as far as the government is concerned.
There is an
In
order of the
Rawalpindi-
Superior Judiciary also.
Just one. In Rawalpindi, where no public meeting has been held for the last 4 or 5 months, 20 areas have been, what is that? So 20 areas have been there. We are not allowed to enter those
Seized,
areas.
okay.
Seized, yes.
Okay.
20 areas are seized. And in other cities. So it is not compulsory that where a public meeting is held, it is necessary that COVID-19 will spread and
No,
affect.
but the likelihood
Secondly,
of it spreading in gatherings, there's no doubt of that,
Yes,
right?
exactly. And if they have a big gathering,
what I say is that after all, if 300 people and 300 people, it makes even more than 1,000. I
Right.
have personally attended these weddings. In open area, if these meetings are held, and we are holding open area, Similarly, as far as the arrests are concerned, what did this Bhatkrai do?
Right. Okay. We will come to that.
What did do this DJ Bhatt? Why are hundreds of workers have been arrested? So isn't it?
Have your workers
Yes,
been arrested?
they have arrested so many workers of PMLN. So I say that they have no case at all. They try to defend, and at that time, while defending, they fail to defend. Either you permit us or don't permit. When you say, and your Prime Minister
But
says
Siddiqui
that
Farooq
we
sir,
are
to be fair, I mean, let me just play the
Devil's
advocate.
case.
Yes.
Yes.
No, not the devil's case. Well, but the other side, according to the government, what they mean to say is that if they do allow you to go forward, if they do prevent you from going forward, if there is action against the PDM, then of course it will, you will come here and you will say, look, they're harassing us, they're attacking us, they're preventing us, even though according to them they're doing that subject to the order of the court, trying to implement the provision that people shouldn't gather.
court has not ordered that they should not allow us to hold public meeting.
Okay.
They tried us to desist from holding public meeting in Multan, they failed. Then we will use our democratic force.
Okay, Ji,
Yes.
Barrister Saab, what has court said?
Well, I think the court has allowed all the political parties, and it has said that they have fundamental right of freedom of expression. Another thing is that Maruf, we see that even on Twitter, most of these federal ministers and many ministers and people from the government, they are posting photos with a lot of people around them, and even they are going for inaugurations, and a lot of things are going on social media from the government side. So on the one hand, the federal ministers and many other ministers and many people from the government, they are holding gatherings, and they are even posting their pictures on the social
But there
media.
is that 300, according to them, there is that 300 benchmark that they've set, that 300 people can gather. And
Well, I think we have not come across any research that if only 300 would gather, then COVID would not, spread.
Yes.
And if there is 301, then COVID would start spreading. I think this is something not really this is not some kind of research which has come up. So I think on the both sides, there should be some responsibility on the government side as well, and on the government should not be using this COVID thing just for the,
Preventing,
for all
right,
this, thing,
okay.
preventing all this. So, we have seen recently the DJ Bhatt, he was all alone sitting in his office or maybe some in his shop, and he was arrested from there. They were eating, Mariam, I think yesterday they were eating in a restaurant, outside the restaurant. And today we have heard that the restaurant owner has been arrested, and, some kind of FIR has been registered. So, if we look at that, we see that the COVID thing is only being used by the government just to prevent all this.
Ji, Asim Saab.
Maruf, I'm thankful to Siddiqui Farooq Saab that he has called me as his younger brother, so I will reciprocate the same favor. My elder brother and I were in a TV program few months back, you can say, in Lahore. And my elder brother, Janab Siddiq Saab, he was insisting like anything that government should go for a complete lockdown. And I was saying that, sir, this is practically not possible. We cannot go for a complete lockdown. And he was like, that virus is spreading like anything, and we are playing with the lives of the common people. So we should go for a complete lockdown. So what happened overnight, what happened suddenly, that my elder brother is speaking the otherwise. He has another narrative that is against his own narrative. So
Because
we have just
now
said to postpone
he's
the
echoing
Jalsa.
his leadership, which has said Jalsa to hoga.
That's why I'm saying that they themselves are not clear. The point is, we have not stopped them. We have just asked them to postpone merely because of the virus spread. That virus is spreading. So this is the case. Again, I would say we have not stopped them. We have asked them to postpone it for just 2-3 months. Inshallah, when virus will be over, when situation will be comparatively better, they can go for jalsas and protest on daily basis. You can have me recorded. They can go for jalsas and protest on daily basis. We have just requested them, please don't play, because people are naive, they will come
there
out.
is likelihood. I'm just telling you, and we're all hopeful, and we all are praying that it actually does go away by the March. I mean, the March to 2021, and the vaccine is available. But there doesn't seem to be any intention on the part of the opposition to stop protesting by then. So we will hold you by what you're saying today.
Yes, you're right. Yes, I will be available. But
Right, okay.
another thing I would like to tell you, if you take the statistics of Multan Jalsa, 10 days after Multan Jalsa, there is 64% increase of patients in the hospitals of Multan. So when you hold a Jalsa, the after effects are observed approximately after a week or so, after 10 days
Right, 14
approximately.
days even.
So
Yes.
again, are they? I'm really unable to understand that what they are trying to do with the people. They are trying to the people to come out on the roads for the leadership that has abandoned them, and they are trying to use them to evade the corruption cases in the
But
NAB.
why do you think,
As far
Asif
as
sir, why
dialogue
do
is
you
concerned,
think?
one more thing, and then I'll wind it up.
okay.
Maruf, one more thing.
But why
As
do you
far
think
as-
people are coming out? Because we've seen, there is, there are people. There's no denying that people are coming out.
Yes,
They
good
are,
question.
we've seen the crowds that are being pulled by Mariam Nawaz. There's no denying that. So, in your opinion,
Maruf,
I mean,
basically, PMLN is the second biggest political party. This is a reality. We have never denied the fact that PMLN is the second biggest political party and a very major force in the central Punjab. So I have never denied it. Now I am coming to the other point which you raised in the beginning in your intro, that as far as dialogue is concerned, we have offered them to come to the table and discuss any issue of national interest. But problem is, whenever they come to the table, they come up with a single point agenda, and that is, again, I would say they want to evade their corruption cases, and they want sort of NRO or to avoid the accountability. That is something that is not possible. If they want to discuss electoral reform, if they want to discuss the law and order conditions, if they want to have some combined policy to control the inflation or whatever, they are more than welcome. Come and discuss
Asif
with
Saab,
us.
before
But
I go,
when they
before
see-
I go to Siddiqul Farooq Saab, but Mariam Nawaz and Bilawal Bhutto were of the opinion that you are asking for an NRO now from the government.
This is really very funny because initially they came to take resignation of Imran Khan, and finally they are planning to give their own resignation, which I seriously doubt they won't be giving. So, what sort of NRO will be demanding? We just want them to postpone their jalsas just to save the
You
lives
want
of
the
the
government, you
tonight.
want the opposition to back down. That is the assertion. I'll come back to you. Ji, Siddiqul Farooq Saab.
Their
First of all,
jalsas
I will
can't do
come back to
anything.
you. Just a second.
Yes, their
as
jalsas
far
can't do
as
anything.
the issue of NRO is concerned,
Ji.
he is an educated person. Ask him, do they or their leader, Imran Khan, enjoys the power to give an NRO to anyone? Just 1 minute.
Right.
Secondly, when without consulting and taking into confidence leader of the opposition and parliament, they imposed an ordinance to amend certain clauses of the NAB
NAB
ordinance.
yes.
Why? Just to save the skin of Prime Minister Imran Khan? Are their leaders
Right.
who were found involved in corruption?
Siddiqul Farooq Saab, are you principally okay with a national dialogue? Will you agree to that?
We have categorically said, and the leadership of our leadership, that yes, we want to hold a national dialogue, we support that, but without this government, which is selected government. As a political
so
party,
who will participate in the national dialogue then? What I mean, is there a roadmap? Is there
Maruf,
some?
my question is with whom they
even
want to
establishment, just 1 minute, I'm here to express my view.
Ji, please.
Establishment, judiciary, political parties,
Excluding the PTI, you don't want.
as political party,
Okay, not as the government.
not as the government.
Okay.
Yes. So, and any neutral person can host, but once this should be supported. Now 11 parties, legal community, NGOs, etc. support this idea.
Okay.
And if there is a national dialogue, it will go to a solution to all problems. As we also support a Truth and Reconciliation Commission.
Okay.
The state of Pakistan is facing lot of problems regarding implementing constitution or following constitution in letter and spirit. and rule of law. So now we want that time, if there is enough time, now we want to sit together and we must solve these problems to protect the interest of the state of Pakistan and the people of Pakistan once for all.
Okay, Ji Barrister Sahab, fortunately or unfortunately, whatever way you look at it, the government and the opposition both are very fond of using words like the Constitution and the rule of law. But the question is, that this government has been elected by the people. There has been an election. Whether after the election now, the political parties can say that was not, it was a rigged election. All of that is a separate debate altogether. The question is this extra constitutional? Is this, for the lack of a better word, is this following the rule of law? Mounting pressure on the government of any day in this way and demanding resignation, whether it was the PTI and Imran Khan doing it, or whether it is at this time the PDM doing it.
See, Maruf, the problem here again is that starting from the election, before the elections, if we go like a year before the election, the way some petitions were filed in some court, the way the things were, like 126 days, somebody was here on this Constitution Avenue demanding all these things, which now the opposition is doing with the same guy. So the problem here is that until we decide that where we want to go, until we decide, see, the problems of RTS have still not been decided. The issues of RTS, there is absolutely nothing on record saying that RTS was working fine or not. Absolutely, and some tweets from different institutions were also there right after the elections, after 2 or 3 hours after the elections. That makes the things suspicious. So
But what will national dialogue do, in your opinion, if it does happen?
Well, I think first of the point which all the institutions should decide is that Constitution provides every institution a sphere, a power, an orbit in which it has to act and it has to perform functions. So first of all, they must decide that they shall not interfere into some other institutions, issues and things. So once they start interfering, then the problem comes in. So in elections and all these things,
all the institutions have to chalk out their boundaries.
Exactly.
And that is important as far as the national dialogue is concerned.
Boundaries are there.
First,
they have to follow.
Right. Okay.
Yes, boundaries are there in the Constitution. There are limits for every service and every institution.
Right. But they have to be enforced, for the lack of a better word, followed.
Observed.
Observed
Yes.
is a better word.
the problem here is that it is not being observed. The Constitution provides everything. It's a complete framework for every institution. Every institution, it is written in the Constitution. But the problem here is that it is not being followed. So first of all, they should decide that they will be following it. And if they do not follow it, then what would happen? That is also provided in the Constitution, but that is not being implemented. Once it has been, somebody tried to implement it, and what has happened, we all know it. So now I think the problem here is that they have to decide.
To Article 6.
Yes, exactly. Article 6.
Right,
what we
I will
have
come
seen.
back to you. Ji, Asim Saab, if there is a national dialogue and things go forth, well and good, maybe, something will come up. But if that doesn't happen, according to the PDM, they are not agreeing to it, whatever. The question is, if there are resignations and they are made, there are still by-elections pending on some seats at this time. Do you think that you will be able to hold by-elections on all the seats that, the numbers are not very strong as the government is, as you know. And the situation that the government will be in, if the PDM chooses to resign, is not going to be great. And even if there is an attempt to have the by-elections, then again, it will be difficult to have, to find them credible, because all these political parties will not be participating.
There are two things, Maruf. One is, I agree with Umar. Yes, there should be a national dialogue. And today, Federal Minister Shafqat Mahmood Sahab has offered that if they want to discuss any issue of national importance, they are more than welcome. So much so, if they want to define the limits of different institutions, and if they want to discuss the interference of different institutions into politics, it can also be discussed. And it could be decided with mutual consent, number one.
But Asif,
so we are ready for
I
it.
think you've left
Number
it a
two
little
is,
late. Perhaps if the government had made this kind of an overture a little while ago, it would have been acceptable to the PDM.
No, we have been asking them to come on the table to discuss all the issues. For example, FATF was the case when we were going for the FATF legislation. We engaged them for the improvement of the country's image and for the improvement of the law, but they did not cooperate with us. So we have
Isn't
offered
it
them
true
again.
that before
in the
this,
back-
whenever there was talk of national dialogue, institutional dialogue, intra-institutional dialogue, there is always the question of the NRO which raises its head, and therefore the issue of
Again.
credibility and all of that, and therefore it never
Few days back.
happened.
Okay, Mark, let me give you a more practical example. Few days back, few journalists met Prime Minister Imran Khan and they requested him that there should be a dialogue between you and the opposition, because this is the combination of opposition and government forms the democracy. So Prime Minister Imran Khan even then said that I am ready to discuss each and everything with them except accountability. So this is the only issue. Whenever they come to the negotiating table, they are concerned about accountability. Now coming to the second point about the resignations and the by-elections. Marok, number one, I guarantee that they will not resign. In case if they resign, we will immediately hold by-elections on the seat. And secondly, I would like to ask my friend that what does it mean that we have submitted our resignation to our leadership? This is not the resignation. The resignation procedure is to submit your resign to the Speaker of the House. So if you are really interested in giving resignation, then why don't you give it to the Speaker? What does it mean? This is again politics.
You know, they've sent copies of the resignation to their leadership, and also
This is
with a
nothing,
copy
Maruf, this
for
is
the
nothing.
Speaker attached, which will then be sent to the Speaker when the leadership
No,
chooses.
this
Isn't that
is
right?
no. Umar is sitting here. Umar is sitting here. Umar knows that this is not the procedure. This is not the method to resign from the assembly. You have to present yourself in person if you want to resign from the assembly. So this is the proper procedure. This is just politics what they are doing. In case
Okay,
I
let me go to
even then I
Siddiqul
say,
Farooq
if
sir,
they
and
wanna
then I'll go
resign,
to Barrister Umar.
who
Ji,
resign? We will
Siddiqul Farooq.
immediately
Of
hold
course, first
by-elections
of
on
all,
the seat.
we want to collect resignations from our members. And then along
Why
with
are
them,
you doubtful that
No,
some
no,
of
no.
them might not resign?
I mean, if
But
we,
it is useless.
if we give direction, please come on that day. So there are someone is in hospital, out of country. So all the resignations will be collected, and then a date will be fixed for tendering resignation before the speaker.
Okay.
But when these resignations are tendered, this date and time will be decided by the leadership. And before that, we will mount more pressure on them, because and
So
knows
what will happen after this? What will happen after the Lahore Jalsa? What is the plan?
we will. I think we are going to hold public meetings in divisions. We may give a call for shutter down strike. We may give a wheel jam strike. What is called that?
Paiya Jam.
Paiya jam. Yes, Paiya jam
Ji.
strike.
But that's
And
not
then-
going to. But that's not exactly going to benefit the country at this time.
Country
They are least
has
bothered
been
about the
no,
country.
the economy has been completely destructed. Everything has been devastated. The machinery, I mean, the bureaucracy is not working.
Siddiqul Farooq sir, that is true. I know what you're saying as far as your opinion of the economy of the country is concerned. But do you think that at this time, all of this that's happening is actually going to benefit the country?
If
you lose out. Okay, my question really:
Yes.
you lose out on the Senate elections if you resign before. And there is that whole debate at this time about how the PPP has done this in the past, when the MD movement happened. That and they regret that. So if that do you think that you lose out on the Senate elections by resigning, and that's an alternative?
all these questions have been considered by our leadership, and they have a strategy to deal with all the problems. But we feel that this government is destroying this country, and if they are allowed to complete, just 1 minute, to complete with
this.
this,
The country, they
with
were
this-
elected by the people.
Why? To destroy the country.
The-
We have been given the right by the Constitution to hold, to protest against this and to bring the people in the streets. The Constitution gives us the right. So we are using
And
our
to demand
constitutional right.
resignation also?
Of course.
Okay. Ji, Barrister Sahab.
Well, I think the problem here now is that
The issue of resignations is really, you know, if the party leadership asks their party members, we don't know, but most of them, there is the presumption, will resign. And if that does happen, in terms of strategy, in terms of what the law says, the by-elections having actually the practicality of it is still not very, won't be very easy for the government. Isn't that true?
of course, this number of parliamentarians, if they resign, then there is a problem for the government as well. If you remember, you know, even recently when PTI resigned, they were very like, you know, it was just one party, but still it was very difficult for PMLN to, you know, to even accept the resignations. And if you remember, they submitted the resignations, but still those were not accepted by the speaker at that time. And those even PTI did not even, you know, accept or even did not announce that or on the floor of the house at that time. So, you know, there is a problem. Like if this number of people, like there is PMLN, there is People's Party, there is JUI, then there is, you know, the Bengal group is also
500
there.
constituencies.
So this number of people, if they resign, and you know, one thing which is now the biggest problem here is that if Pakistan People's Party resigns from the Sindh government, then it is going to create a big problem.
Do you think they will? Because certainly the stakes for them are very different than the PMLN.
Of course, it is very difficult for them. That is why I think they are still not clear whether they are going to resign from the Sindh Assembly or not. Because almost 23 senators are elected from each assembly, from their electoral college, which is the provincial assembly. So if the Sindh government is not there, if the Sindh Assembly is not there, because they have majority over there, so then I think this would be a defective
Electoral
election of the Senate. This is going to create a big problem, you know, in
But
March.
then it will, and it will
Electoral college will be incomplete and elections for the Senate will not be held, rather postponed.
which is
And
why
Maruf,
you think that the government is now getting in touch with you, your PDM.
I don't know, but I think they have felt the pressure, its impact, and therefore they want to contact. They have contacted us, but now feel that a dialogue with this government won't serve the purpose, because our objective are.
No, but you're not only doing a dialogue with this government, you're having an intra-institutional dialogue.
Of course, there should be an independent forum for convening the meeting of all stakeholders. So we hope that within a month or so, situation may lead to that decision or that dialogue, and a practical approach may be observed.
And what will that practical approach be? Asking the government to go?
No, to call all stakeholders,
Right, but will
sit together, and then, of course, then fresh elections, because we do not accept the results of these elections.
But Siddiqui Farooq-
95% of Form 45 were not signed by polling agents.
Siddiqul Farooq sir,
Then the other system, what is that? RTS system.
Siddiqul Farooq sir, before between the PPP and the PMLN also, you know, the Democratic Alliance or whatever, you know, earlier on also was, you know, the principle behind that was also that the 5-year term, you know, the principle of democracy should be upheld. Continuation of democracy is essential for our system, parliamentary style of politics at this time. If there is a midterm election, isn't that going to defeat the whole purpose
No.
of your saying
Midterm
vote
elections-
ko izzat do, and you know your whole which presumes holding supreme the will
They
of the
are
people?
not giving izzat to voters.
Okay.
They are not protecting or giving rights to the voters, and that is our objective. Moreover, holding midterm elections is not undemocratic. It is democratic. It is constitutional.
Right, Ji, I'm going to go to Asim Shaukat Saab. Ji, Asim Saab, holding midterm
Maruf.
election, Ji.
No, Maruf, I have been very patiently hearing. There are 3-4
Ji.
points that have been raised. I would
Ji.
like to answer them one by one, very
Yes,
quickly
go
and very
ahead.
briefly. Please give me some time. First of all, Umar said that there will be a problem if there are so many resignations from the National Assembly. Simply, he knows law better than me. There is hardly any problem. There is no problem at all. If they resign, we'll go for the by-election on the very next day. And we will file an application to the Election Commission to hold the election. there is hardly an issue. Rather, we will win all those seats which they will leave. Number two, coming to the Sindh. In Sindh, first of all, I assure you that People's Party will never resign from Sindh Assembly. They will never resign. In case, if they resign, you mark my words, in case, if they resign, we will go for the next election under the caretaker setup. Can they afford to go for the next election under the caretaker setup? Number three, my friend has just said that electoral college will be incompleted if Sindh Assembly is not available, if Constituent Assembly is missing. Mainly, I have discussed with many law experts, and Umar must be knowing this, that law does not say anything on the electoral college of Senate. Whatever is available, election will be held. And as far as Sindh Assembly is concerned, by-election will be held, and then they can vote for the seats from Senate seats from the Sindh. This is a common opinion from most of the lawyers. Now, coming to the vote ko izzat do, the fifth point was vote ko izzat do. I would like to ask, when they say that we are ready to talk to the establishment, when we are ready to discuss with the government issues with establishment, are they giving any izzat to vote? They are simply making fun of the vote. So this is what I wanted to say. Now, please, if you want to ask some questions.
Gee, but they want to, but there's, gee.
When PDM will not participate in elections against the resigned seats, will this administration be able to hold elections? Or do they have any power to hold elections? The elections, holding elections is with the election commission. But if we don't participate, we are outside the polling stations, we will not let them hold elections. We want elections without this government, an objective elections by independent forum, involvement of any, whether it is intelligence agency or establishment. We don't want that. We don't want their involvement. That is our point, one point.
But you are willing to have them participate as part of the institutional dialogue.
Yes, as we have said, that all those stakeholders who have been violating constitution, law, by hook or by crook, they should come together, sit and commit that they will from next day observe constitution, and there will be an amendment in the constitution or an additional article in the constitution to punish those who
don't do
cross their limits.
Right. Okay. Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have. Thank you so much for joining us today. Asim Shaukat Saab, thank you for being with us. Siddiqul Farooq Saab, thank you for joining us. Barrister Omar Malik, thank you for being with us. As far as the issue of constitution and rule of law is concerned, certainly the opposition and the government both reiterate that they want to enforce the constitution, the rule of law. But as far as the opposition, the PDM is concerned, certainly it's unclear. There may be the right to protest peacefully, but the calls of asking an elected government, however controversial the election may be, to resign and a midterm election will certainly mean a discontinuation in the parliamentary, in the democratic process, and it's unclear how it conforms to the constitution and the rule of law at the very least. Thank you so much for joining us today on Perspective.